to take that conversation forward with Mr. Hitesh Doshi, Chairman and Managing Director of Waaree Group. This group is one of the foremost players in terms of solar panel exports. It's quite ironical that in India we are importing from China, but we are also exporting. But is solar or adaptation of solar as a technology the easy solution to bridge that gap? So Hitesh bhai, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on ET Now. Thank you for joining us. We were discussing the setup for the demand as well as supply in the Indian power sector. Do you think looking at alternates, especially solar, wind, that really could be the easy solution to start bridging that gap? Because the demand shortage to hai, sir. Can this be bridged by going the solar route?
I think this is the best solution. And first of all, thank you very much for inviting me and giving this time. If we look to the globally, what the power demand has increased and how it is getting solved. Today, over 1,000 megawatt solar panels are deployed every day. And the reason is very simple. The installation of the solar panel is very fast. I mean, if somebody wants to put on his home, he can do in 3 days, 5 days. Number two is the lowest cost of the power today is produced from the solar panel. So price-wise, what we are seeing, this can not only help to meet the growing demand, but the solar also helps to reduce the cost and also the time. So what you have been capturing from this morning, the power demand is growing, and what is the quick fix? We strongly believe, and globally everybody believes the solar is the solution.
What is the cycle and the duration if somebody has to set up a large thermal plant versus a large solar capacity? Can you walk us through the maths here?
It's completely different. To give an idea, we put a solar or we put a thermal, we will need a land and a grid connection. So if I take out the land and grid connection out of the complete implementation cycle or execution cycle, in 90 days, you can do a 500 megawatt execution in this country today in solar. So if you have the land and grid in place, the 90 days is a 500 megawatt execution. And I believe this is going to increase in the near future. So that's a time gap.
You know, the other thing, Mr. Doshi, obviously that one wants to understand is what does it mean, this surge in demand for you at Waaree? Are you seeing a lot more EPC orders flowing in?
Yes, it's a demand as well as the awareness of the cost of the power, and apart from the ESG, green energy requirements, the overall demand for the solar is growing across the globe, and we believe that this is going to continue this growth.
I look at the solar sector in India, and if I look at what a company like Waaree is doing, you are in exports. So when it comes to exports, it clearly means that Indian industry or Indian companies are viable enough. Otherwise, they would have not got export orders. But India is also importing from China. ये तो कहानी समझ में नहीं आ रही. Export import दोनों हो रहा है.
It's very easy. The policies of the countries where it is allowing the Indian companies to export. But when it comes to the India's import, at this moment, we have the open policy to get the panels, solar panels from the outside of the India. And definitely the cost structure in our neighboring countries is much lower than what cost structure we have in India. So we believe in this year only, we expect over $4 billion of the panels will be imported in this country, where the export will be not as big as that. So export will be lower. So that is the first gap. Now, why the export is happening? Many countries have put various trade barriers to some of our neighboring countries. And because of that, the Indian companies has the opportunity. The second thing, that when you are buying the panel, you are buying energy for 25 years. So you need a panel which will work for 25 years. You need that kind of the quality, service, and most importantly, the trust of the supplier. So that is another thing why the export is happening. And I will say the third and most important thing for this country is when we are exporting the solar panels, it is an export of the capital goods. That shows us on the Indian manufacturers and Indian products. So export should be definitely continued. At the same time, we need to now stop the import when the country has enough capacity. For example, the Indian manufacturing capacity has reached to the 40 gigawatt now, where we expect the deployment in the country between 22 to 25 gigawatt on an optimistic side. So that gives a clear indication that the country has enough capacity. And now anyway, we have to stop this import. So import export समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. I think in next 6 months it will be very clear. The import should be stopped and export should grow much higher.
Mr. Doshi, the other thing is if the sector is so lucrative, there's bound to be competition. One of the roadblocks is what you already mentioned, that the government should, stop looking at imports because domestically we have enough capacity. But what are the other hurdles that you see within the business besides, I'm guessing, increasing competition?
The competition will be always there, and it has been always there in the past also. So more the demand, more the manufacturers. We have seen the number of manufacturers today in the country has gone almost 80 plus, and the import has increased in all the terms. The challenge is how fast we increase our deployment. For example, if we go on the rooftops or on the solar water pumps, or we go to the telecom towers, whatever the applications you are seeing, where there is a huge demand during the daytime. And the solar has this probability to give the lowest cost of the power during the daytime. So how we match both together and how we increase the deployment. And we are seeing the huge growth on the deployment, but there is an opportunity to increase the speed and increase the deployment in the country. So competition will get the business, of course, Waaree will get the business. But the most important, the mismatch of the power demand and supply, as well as the cost, overall will be able to give the benefit to the people, customers, and the industry altogether.
Okay, so let's spend some time understanding on what's next for the Waaree Group. I was looking at the declared numbers, what is available in the public domain. There seems to be a big explosive growth in profits, top line, and order booking. Have you hit an exponential curve where next 2 or 3 years the rate of growth both in order book and profitability would be there?
Fortunately, we have a good export order book. So definitely there is some assurance of the supply, we call invoicing and dispatches. And definitely when you have the large volume to be shipped, the profit numbers are going to increase year on year. And this we could demonstrate in the last few quarters. And I'm sure this will continue in the coming days.
To 5 years out, are you confident that you will be able to maintain the historical growth rate? I mean, the historical numbers in front of me, they are looking very impressive.
As a company, we are working on entirely the energy transition. And we are working not only on the solar, we started working on the batteries, hydrogen, offering the other solutions also. So growth numbers are going to come all the coming decades. That's we are very much confident, and we'll be able to maintain these numbers also.
You are looking at backward expansion is what I understand. What is the status of the land? When will you expect the financial closure of this plant, of this project rather? And when will the financials kick in? I'm blending 3 questions into one. I'll repeat again for the benefit of our viewers. What is the status of the land for PLI? When is the financial closure expected? And when will this kick in the balance sheet?
Right. The land allotment is done now. So the land work is finished. In principle, we got the financial acceptance and final financial approval is awaited. Probably next 60 days we'll have it. Let me little bit explain you what we are going to do. We and manufacturing the solar panels, and the new solar cell production is going to start by end of this financial year. And the new factories under the PLI which we are coming up, there we are going to start with the ingot. So we'll buy the polysilicon at this moment. We'll convert that into the ingots. We'll make the wafers, and from wafers we'll make the cells and the module. So this entire new factory will cover the entire supply chain right from the ingot to the solar panels. So it's a 6 gigawatt scale project, and overall investment in this project will be more than 8,500 crores. This machines has been selected, and probably the next month all the equipment orders will be also placed. And as soon as the rainy season gets over, the construction on site will also start.
You've done 2 rounds of fundraising. Will you go ahead for 3 or will you go public before that?
Our idea is to go for the public by the next year. This is a very dynamic industry. The opportunities are huge. We are also expanding outside the country in the manufacturing, and probably it will be finalized in the next couple of weeks. Some large giga factories we are planning outside the country. So really speaking, this is a dynamic and fast-growing industry. The plan is going for the IPO, but if there is any other opportunities comes, we'll look into that also.
Very open statement. No, my question is IPO next financial year or next calendar year?
The idea is to come before the end of this financial year. We are getting ready for it.
Good luck. Thank you very much. And you've been very, patient with the questions. You've been very, open about sharing your thoughts and where the group is headed. It's such a pleasure to have you on ET now.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and inviting me and giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Let's take a break.